Kingdom is a plot. This video has been in the works for a long time. 659 chapters, lads. I did it. I'm going to discuss a non-spoiler review, a spoiler review, and also talk about criticisms and also my own theories, as well as a few other things that I think need talking about. Kingdom is a manga by Yasuhisa Hara, and I'm gonna say the plot summary taken from my anime list so that we know I'm not saying spoilers. During the Warring States period in China, Shin and Hyo are two brother-like youngsters who dream of becoming great generals despite their low status as orphan slaves. One day, they encounter a man of nobility who gives Hyo an opportunity to undertake an important duty within the state of Chin's royal palace. Parting ways, Shin and Hyo promise each other to one day become the greatest generals in the world. However, after a fierce coup d'etat occurs in the palace, Shin meets with a dying Hyo, whose last words spur him into action and lead him to encounter the young and soon-to-be king of Chin, Ace. Although initially on bad terms, Shin and Ace become comrades and start on a path filled with trials and bloodshed. Sei's objective is to bring all the warring states under Chin, and Shin seeks to climb to the very top of the army rank. Against a backdrop of constant tactical battle between states and great political unrest, both outside and within the palace, the two endeavour towards their monumental ambitions that will change history forever. So, as you gather from the plot summary, this is a story about Shin achieving his goals, but we also see the characters around him as they also try to fulfill their goals and just find out what they want to do in life. And it is a really good manga, and it does introduce you to so many people without losing the focus on Shin. We have conflict between different characters that we're introduced to. It is as elaborate, I would say, as something like Game of Thrones, or all the poor people who watched my review videos before and just had to listen to me constantly compare to George R. R. Martin. It's because I was reading Game of Thrones, okay? I do like this manga a lot. It's not a favourite, but it's on the borders. We start off when these two, I think they're 14. Shin helps Sei reclaim the throne that he fled from, and from that point on, we witness Shin climb the ranks in the military to become a great general of the heavens. Along the journey, we come across a plethora of characters. Like a lot. Some who are Shin's comrades and some who are enemies. All of these people have their own goals and things to protect, and you do get attached to people even though they aren't the main cast. The manga is inspired by true events. However, do not go into this manga thinking that it's a history book. Now, what is real is the events that take place. So, Chin trying to conquer China and the death of certain people. I should add though, how some characters die is fictional about 65% of the time. This isn't because Hara is incompetent or whatever. It's just because how these certain characters died wouldn't have been recorded in the annals that Hara refers to when he writes the manga. But I think we have to give credit to Hara for being able to create these fictional events around non-fiction. Like, it can't be an easy thing to write. This dude is out here making war strategies based on a single line in a record. You know, like, it's impressive. Now, this manga is currently at 659 chapters, and it isn't going to be ending anytime soon. It took me about a month to catch up all the chapters because I had other commitments going on. I had my own strategy going, right? It takes me about an hour to read 10 chapters. So in total, it took me about 70 hours, which you could easily do in a week if you haven't got any other commitments on. I take my binging very seriously. I think this manga is definitely worth a read if you like shounen and fancy something a bit different. The manga can suffer from typical shounen tropes. However, I don't think I've read many shounen manga that are as elaborate as this. Even though we're nowhere near the end, it's fulfilling to see Shin and the people around him grow as people. I would say this manga is told in a mercenary style. We go from one battle to the next, not really getting much downtime. We finish one battle and then after a chapter we're thrust into the next. It's just constant. We witness numerous fighting styles and strategies, and I think if you're really into that sort of thing, you'll really like this manga. I don't think I've read a manga that has such in-depth war strategies as this. So if you like progressive stories that are quite slow, you may not like this. If you like constant action and nail-biting scenarios, then you will definitely like this. This is a much more mature shonen than we used to, but it's not enough to break into the next genre, so something like seinen. Did I even say that right? Seinen? I don't know. You know what I'm on about, right? The depiction of the bloodshed in this art style is very vivid. The amount of flying heads I've seen, my god. The art style is top notch though. It's not the typical style of most shonen nowadays, and the detail is, there's also a good range of husbandos and waifus to pick from, but that's beside the point. I'd say the first arc is enough to know if you want to read this manga and catch up. A lot of people are like, oh, you need to read 100 chapters and then, decide if you want to DNF it or not. If you read the first 20 chapters and think, nah, this ain't my thing, I don't think it will ever be your thing. On the other hand, if you read the first 20 chapters and you think, damn, I want to see where this is going, you probably will enjoy this manga. After Shin helps Sei take back the throne, we're then thrust into the world of war and politics. I mentioned it briefly, but from that point on, we go from one battle to the next, and now, after 659 chapters, we have just finished the arc where Chin launches a battle on Zhao, which will be the first state that they conquer. The battles before that, you know, we've got the Coalition War, we've got the battle at Sanyo? Sanyo? It was Sanyo, right? The names just... We have a range of battles that go on up until we get to the point where Chin are trying to take over these states. I don't know how much longer we have of this manga left, but I definitely do not think it's going to be over within another 600 chapters. We've got a long way to go. The only reason that this isn't in my favourites yet is because it gets quite repetitive. But we obviously have a lot yet to come, so I do expect we're going to get some like new strategies and obstacles coming our way. We're only in Zhao and we have like another 5 states to conquer. We've got a lot left. So as I say, I do think the manga will introduce a new element at some point, whether that be a newcomer for Shin or Kyokai finally taking home a big kill. I do think things will change and, you know, spice it up. If you like shounen and it's your favourite genre, then you'll probably find Kingdom in your favourites. I'm being a bit negative from the get-go, so let me talk about things I do like about this manga. I do actually like this manga. I think the strategy is really well done. I mean, watching Osen completely outsmart people like Riboku is just so satisfying to read. Still don't know much about Osen, but I do think we will find out more about him eventually when his death flag is raised. I don't think he's going to survive to the end of this manga. Just a theory. This manga really knows how to get you hyped up, and I love that. I love that feeling where it's like you've just won a game or something. The amount of times that I've looked at my screen and been like, oh shit, boy! My favourite characters have got to be Yotanwa and Kanki. I feel like most people understand why I would like Yotanwa, so I don't really need to explain it. But Kanki though. One of the reasons I love Kanki is like it's just hard to predict what he will do. Like, if he turns around one day and just backstabs Osen, I wouldn't even be surprised. I would just be like, this bitch. Why am I such a simp for Kanki? Nah, it is like, just of all the characters in Kingdom, Kanki is the one that has my attention the most, you know? And like, whenever he's on the battlefield, he's such a boss. Like, the Coalition arc, mate, they wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for Kanki. He was just shredding everyone. I actually really like Riboku as well. I love Oki, obviously, but at the end of the day, they're all fighting for the same purpose. To protect their homeland and invade and conquer more states. Like, I can't understand anyone who thinks it's fine for Chin, but not for any other state to do. Just because Chin won, doesn't mean it's right. I love Moten as well. I don't really have much to say. He's just a good dude, isn't he? I think he should have died like that time he got caught between Mobu and his opponent, but whatever. Shounen, am I right? There's only one character I can say that I dislike. I mean, there's some, but they're quite insignificant. But this one is a significant character, and I just don't like him. Can you guess? Mobu. People can blame Riboku all they like for Oki's death, but it was 100% Mobu. Like, I'm not even willing to budge on that. It was Mobu. And I get he has changed now, like he listens to strategies and stuff. I still don't like him though. Absolute. I really loved Oki. Oki? Right? I'm really sorry if I'm butchering these names. I legit actually find myself hoping Shin doesn't win. I know they do, but I can't help but feeling bad for the other states. Like, am I the only one? They're all just trying to defend the homeland, you know? The only universal enemy would be Chin, because they're the ones invading and raiding. Seeing all the citizens who just get caught up in the bloodshed and are a part of schemes. And we've got way more to come. Just me who thinks like that. A key part in this manga is making way for the new. It's building up a lot of characters like Ohon and Moten, who will become the next generation of the 6 great generals of Chin. Some of you may not have realised that, but I mean, it's obvious. I feel like Kyokai has got to be on there too. If there's only one female on it though, like the previous 6 generals, then maybe it'll be Yotanwa. I mean, it could be 10. They had a strategist on there before as well. I mean, like, hopefully there's more than one female on the list. Because, like, I mean, I just said 3 alone. Like, gonna be a bit pissed if there's only one. Just saying. Boys, are you ready for my criticisms? My favourite arc, I would say, is the Coalition Invasion arc. All of those characters together and all of the enemies as well. Love it. It was so cool seeing all the characters interact and seeing all the strategies going on. Kanki was just an absolute beast. If it wasn't for him, Chin would have fallen so easily. Maybe that's why it was my favourite. Because Kanki was... I'm not that much of a simp for Kanki. Nah, he was a G though. I feel like that was the arc where I was just like, you know what, Kanki is just there. You know, he may be burning people in the villages, but the way he held Kankoku Pass was just All the methods everyone had as well, like Sekai with the poisons. I would say I do wish we would have seen more of Sekai in future chapters, because he had a really interesting story and a really interesting method on how he worked. So it did feel like his character was a bit wasted down there, but I guess if that's how it happened in real life, I'm assuming that's how it happened in real life. But I mean, the way Kanki like got into Sekai's camps and like killed Sekai was pretty dope. Oh, and then that general who died after falling to his poisons. Oh. But the way Kanki just like, oh, the way he just so confidently strode on those horses into the camp, I'm just like, what a beast. My least favourite arc was probably the Gyo campaign arc, which is the one we just finished. It was the longest arc as well, wasn't it? It just felt tiring. Like, the stakes were really high, you know, Shin had limited rations and they had no way out. But the only thing is, when it's like that, and we know Shin manages to take over Zao as Hara is referring to the animals, I found myself thinking, can we just get it over with? Like, why does it need to be dragged out when we know that they're gonna win? Like, I mean, the whole, like, waiting and then just the repeating of battles between, like, you know, the right side with Shin and the left side with Mobu at standstill, like, it was just tiring, and the pacing just really slowed down in that arc. Also, this is a side point, but I'm gonna be so annoyed if Kyokai can't use Chi anymore because she revived Shin. I swear to God, if Hara uses that as a way to bolster Shin towards his goal while leaving Kyokai to just become his lover, as if that's all Kyokai's character is worth, it's gonna really piss me off. But yeah, that arc just really dragged for me. The cool thing was that I would say my favourite thing in that arc that happened was when it turned out that Osen had like planted troops within Gyo's walls. That was a good twist, because it was like I was waiting for that to happen. Like when all the people were going in, I was like, you know, they gotta be infiltrating at some point. And then nothing was said, and I was like, what? How would they miss the opportunity? Bitch, it was that. And I actually got my my reaction to that as well, so go to the end if you want to see that. Just as a whole, it wasn't as well paced as the other arcs, in my opinion. Okay, I don't want to end this on a negative note, so I'm just going to talk about some of my favourite moments. During the battle with Renpa, when Kyokai was injured and she was looking after all the injured troops, and Shin was versing Rinko, and then it turned out that Rinko had like basically bamboozled Shin and sent like loads of troops over towards Kyokai with all the injured soldiers, and then when Shin arrived and Kyokai had just obliterated all the fucking troops. I did actually really like the fight with Rinko as well in that arc. Like, obviously Shin had the help of Sosui when Rinko fell. Like, seeing those two fighting each other, it felt like it was like mirroring. Really interesting fight. And then how Renpa gave Shin Rinko's sword. That was a good fight. I really liked that fight. Oh, during the coalition arc when Sai was losing and then Yutama just fucking turned up over the mountains, I was just like screaming at my screen. I really liked seeing Seikyo and Eisei have a budding relationship too. I loved when Kyokai started fighting against Hoken as well, and it was just like she was just this fucking beast just going at him. It would have been really cool if she beat him and she was like the one who like died. I mean, if Kyokai died there, I wouldn't have been mad. Like, that would have been a sick death if she like actually beat Hoken, but just at the cost of her life. I know like some people will be like, oh my god, how can you say that? Like, it's Kyokai, she's waifu. It would have been a cool death. And that time after the Gyo arc when they were giving out the awards and all the Hishin unit were lined up so that they could like quickly pass along the message on whether Shin got the promotion or not. And then he did, and they were all like, and then like it just passed along, and then you got to Bihei and everyone just started losing their shit because Shin got promoted to general. It was just so heartwarming. I love moments like that. It was just so cute. As mentioned, this isn't a history book. I've seen so many fans of this manga who believe that this manga is an accurate retelling of events. It ain't. The things that are 100% real are the victories and the battles that they've had. The things surrounding it, there's a lot of leeway. And when I mean things surrounding it, what do I mean? I mean things like what happens within the victory, who's fighting who, what did characters say to each other, how did characters act, what was their strategy. There's a lot of leeway with that. Why is there a lot of freedom, you may ask? Because the records aren't that in depth. The Battle of Sai alone was just one line Sai managed to hold against the siege. There's no mention of Eisei, there's no mention of Yutanwa. These are just fictional things that Hara made up to tell the story. Now, for some people that may ruin their opinion of the manga. At first, when I realised how much was fictionalised, I was put off. However, you have to remember that Hara is inspired by true events that happened. Hara never claimed that this was a 100% truthful manga. That's just how other people have promoted this manga. There's a lot in our TV that fictionalizes history. I mean, I don't know like who's watching this, but like in the UK where I'm from, there was a show called Tudors, for example. A lot of that is fictional. No one knows what those characters were actually like. But as a fictional retelling, it gives them a lot of leeway. Hara at least changed their names to show that these aren't the same people as in real life. All that are similar are the pasts. And even they can be fictional. Like, I don't even think Shika was a real person in Qin Shi Huang's life. She could have been, but I doubt it. The weird thing about this, though, is that there are some fans of Kingdom who get so offended by the fact that you're saying this isn't an accurate depiction. Like, it just breaks the very foundation of their understanding and they don't know how to accept it. It's not a bad thing that it's not an accurate retelling. It's just based on the real life events. There's one chapter in the Gyo arc where Kyokai brings Shin back to life after his fight with Hoken, and you had people in the comments being like, did this really happen? No, but what I've noticed, especially in the later chapters of Kingdom, is that Hara is drawing on a lot of ancient beliefs, such as chi and gods. Obviously, as a Western person, when these things happen in the manga, it's a bit of a culture shock and I can't really get into it. I'm a bit more used to it now because, coincidentally, I started reading Chinese novels before this, so that introduced me to a lot of chi and god element. But as I say, I won't hold it against Hara because this is just a cultural thing. Okay, so I'm just going to read from my Mac just so I can make sure that I say these right. So this isn't going to be a long section because I think it's probably just, we'll discuss these in the comments maybe if there are any Kingdom fans who are watching this video. I mean, I don't know who else would be watching this video. I doubt it's going to be anyone who's a fan of like Scumbag System or something like. But anyway, my first prediction. Shin is so OP because he is a path seeker. The path he seeks is that of a great general. We saw how Hoken had great power because he was a path seeker. That's what it'll be like for Shin. Because he set his eyes on the goal, that's why he can harness power that exceeds a lot of the other generals. So, a lot of people are like, how the hell can Shin beat so many people? Like, how is he so OP? I think it's because he's a path seeker. We saw with Hoken, who is a path seeker, that he wanted, to achieve the power of gods, which isn't something he can achieve. A mortal human can't achieve the power of a god. However, Shin can achieve the power of a great general, which is why he is so OP and why he can kill so many people and so many great generals, and I believe that's going to be the reason that Hara draws upon. Do I like that twist? As I say, it seems like it's drawing on a lot of cultural things, which may be a bit foreign to me, and I guess it's good that Shin isn't just OP for the sake of being OP. There is an actual reason for it, which I appreciate more than, just the typical shounen, oh, he's strong because friendship. Okay, my next theory. I think Kyokai or Ten will die. My money is on Kyokai dying. This is why I think it would have been a good thing, though, for her to have died during her battle with Hoken, because if she does die later on, it's got to hold the same power as that. Like, it cannot be a very lackluster death for Kyokai. Anyway, this is because both girls are fictional, and the person who Shin's character is based off doesn't have any mention of marrying after he becomes a general. He probably did, but it's just my theory that one of those two is going to die. I do think it'll be Kyokai, I do think she's going to die. Because we've been teased so many times about her dying. My next theory. I think one of the last chapters will be Shin visiting Kyo's grave after he becomes general. I think we may even see Shin die of old age where he is then buried next to Kyo. I think that this manga is going to end where Shin retires. I think the last chapter will probably be Shin visiting Hyo's grave, if not Shin dying and being buried next to Hyo. And it'll be like a sort of full circle story, Oh god, it'll be really cute. I feel sad thinking about that actually. Aww. Shin's going to be like well old by the time he visits Hyo. Aww. Well, I say well old. Wasn't Ace only like 36 when he managed to conquer it all? So, not going to be that old, but yeah. Are you ready for the topic that will probably piss off a lot of Kingdom fans? 'Cause I am. The women surrounding Shin are always overshadowed by him. The other always tries to make out that Kyokai is Shin's equal when it comes to physical ability, but then she's never managed to take any major kill, bar that one general under Keisha. Ken's goal shouldn't be about helping Shin become a great general. She's above like all of the other students, apparently, within Shohei-kun's school. So we're starting off strong on the criticism. It can feel very shonen at times. I was really close to DNFing when Hoken was first introduced, as I was just like, if Shin manages to defeat him as well, there's only so many times you can introduce an enemy as a great general of the heavens, so unbeatable, no one can beat him, only to have Shin beat him in the end. It just makes all that hype for the enemy feel pointless. One of the reasons why I'm not harsh on this manga for that fact is because shonen isn't my typical genre anyway. Like, there are a few of my favourites that are shonen, but just as a whole with the genre, it's not really my thing. Like, say there's only a select few that I would actually watch and like. I've really begun to dislike this one writing technique Hara uses whenever we're in the middle of a battle. He'll end the chapter on a big cliffhanger and then start the next chapter without revealing what it was that someone said, only to then go back and tell us anyway what it was that this character said within the same chapter. Like, dude, just show us at the start. Like, what's the point of the mystery if you'll just reveal it to us anyway within the same chapter? I've mentioned this before, we don't get much downtime between the battles, which for me I'd like because it just humanizes the characters. I want to see Shin doing some handiwork, I want to see Kyokai learning more about the outside world, I want to see Ten just chilling the f out for like 10 minutes. Also, side note, how the hell has Ten not been given any major awards for the achievements in the battles they've had? And if she was, why aren't those as major as Shin's? Like, if you look at that one guy in the Great Six Generals who was a strategist, obviously the strategist can become a general. So why hasn't Ten been promoted to that? This is drawing into my first criticism. And you know, like, it just keeps getting worse. But yeah, my last criticism is I would just like that downtime with the characters to learn more about them as people and not just see them when they're fighting for their lives. Okay, so that's my review on Kingdom, and I hope you liked this video and it kept you entertained for however long this video has gone on for. Stick around if you want to see my reaction to certain chapters. I put the time codes for everything in the description. Though I do have some strong criticisms, I do like this manga. I know it seems like I don't, but I do. As I say, shounen can be hit and miss for me, but this one's quite unique in that it's inspired by historical events and figures. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. I can't believe I finally caught up Kingdom after years of putting it off. Dreams do come true, guys.